Welcome back to the Canadian Virtual Staffing Firm Owners Conference. My name is Mark Belache. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. Hopefully you've had a chance to network a little bit, check out our expo area, and got a great, excited to be joined by a great guest. We are going to cover a lot of good stuff in the next 30 minutes or so. Pleased to introduce Richard Fernandes. He's founder and CEO of the Staffing Exchange and founding member of MCLS. So welcome, Richard.
Thank you, Mark, and thanks to everyone attending today.
Terrific. So we're going to talk about the Staffing Exchange first, and then we'll talk about what MCLS is. And for anybody watching, if you have any questions for Richard, you want to bring something up, something he mentions, feel free to post it in the chat, and I'm happy to moderate it. So first off, Richard, we've known each other for quite a while, I know. Talk about the Staffing Exchange, what you do, what your role is, and maybe perhaps a bit about the firm and what you're all about.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark. So Staffing Exchange has been around for over a decade now. We've been focused on being career brokers, as the name particularly hones in on the Staffing Exchange, as the new TSE. And we have headhunters, or as we call career brokers, recognizing the importance of careers and really helping candidates get to the hidden job market and trying to redefine the I guess the acronymous conversations around, are you a headhunter, are you a recruiter, are you a management consultant? And we're speaking to representing your career. And we have over 20 of us across Canada, from British Columbia over to Manitoba to Ontario, several cities. And we're also connected on a mobile network, which was done before this past year, which has been very fortunate for us. And we work in a number of industries throughout Canada, with a heavy emphasis on the permanent placement side. And as we see now, there's even greater demand for the temp contract side. Terrific.
So you created this MCLS. So for those that don't know it, what's MCLS? What's it all about?
Well, it's interesting. In the past year, we recognized that there's an industry out there called the real estate industry that has standardized itself in many, many years ago, a few decades, 1962, and thought, why couldn't that work for our industry? Because as you point out earlier in your introduction, there's thousands of recruiters and firms that are, again, independent and yet looking for an opportunity to come together. And we looked at it, and we're very fortunate that we were able to get approval from MLS to create the multiple career listing service on the same principles that you have a listing, your firm is a listing for a controller, and we may have a candidate in our database that's suitable for a job you can't fill, and really looked at it in a very simple way to find collaboration. So we started out with two firms, and it's growing every month by a couple of firms recognizing that, you know, sometimes you have too many orders, not enough candidates, too many candidates, not enough job orders. So it just creates this synergy, just like the MLS would in real estate.
So the MCLS, created by staffing agency owners who basically believe that they're not currently being offered the necessary opportunities to scale their business through their existing back office funding or owner collaboration. So if somebody wanted to become a member, what's the process? Maybe you can kind of talk about that and how to reach you, and does it cost anything as well?
Absolutely. So first of all, there's no setup cost. There's no fees in terms of monthly fees per se. What we operate on is that we have resources to provide for the members. Of course, this event that we're speaking on is actually funded by payroll funding. And Hunter Reed, who's been outstanding in helping with the foundation of how this can work when it comes to the payroll funding for members, would be the person to reach out to. And his firm has been the second firm to join and be able to align with the TSE. From there, Hunter would in turn, as we want to hone in on, we're looking for people or firms, owners that have subject matter expertise and can see the opportunity to generate and increase their sales. So in a nutshell, what it really means in that if you look at real estate, there's people that are focused on condos or commercial real estate. Our industry, as you touched, is 20,000 people, really doing it 20,000 different ways. And we're just trying to find a way to streamline everyone, and we can raise the bar for this industry.
Excellent. Yeah, and you've been always a big proponent, or what's the word? Supporter, right, of the industry as well, right? Which is great. It's important for us to all band bound together, right?
Absolutely.
So you mentioned about getting approval from MLS.ca. If someone goes to the website, can kind of see a semblance of what MLS and MLSCA looks like, right? As well. So MCLS. So maybe you can walk. I don't know. It's a little bit hard to see, but maybe you can talk a little bit about what's on the website. Maybe some of the features that somebody can go to.
Absolutely. Well, the most important thing, first of all, is the site's there as a hub to getting some understanding that we can share and collaborate together. So first and foremost, the site is really designed to educate you on what's available to share. Case in point, payroll funding, unlimited payroll funding, the ability to increase your what we call wallet share. So if you're doing perm, maybe you want to do temp. Maybe you're working in accounting, but you'd like to add in IT. So the MCLS website really, if you see here, focuses on being a collaboration of recruitment professionals sharing on the site. But once you're in the site, then you're going to connect with other owners. So it's interesting today that we officially launched in that we beta tested over the past year, but this is an opportunity for owners, as in this conference, to talk to each other. And that's really the critical success factor. This isn't an email, stay online. This is an introduction for Mark and Richard to talk, or Hunter and Patty to talk, or Dave and Anita to talk. So this is really a hub where you can kind of get a sense of what's available, inclusive of clients, because a lot of customers are confused by the recruitment industry. We're not licensed. There are no standards. It's the only industry in the world that you do not require certification for. In fact, you need certification to cut hair as a hairstylist, but you do not need any type of certification to deal with people's lives. So, that's another piece of what we want to speak to on the site.
Excellent. If you're just joining, my name is Mark Belache. I'm president of TorontoJobs.ca. I'm joined by Richard Fernandes, founder and CEO of the Staffing Exchange and founding member of MCLS. Richard is talking about MCLS and MCLS Multiple Career Listing Service, and the website mcls.ca as well. And so, sorry, Richard, how much does it cost, or does it cost anything to join?
So what we did was when we had our team and our advisory board study the MLS, it was very simple. There's a percentage between the deals. Okay, so what we did was we took not a random number, but a number that spoke to both sides. So I'm going to keep it real simple for all those on the call or on the video presentation, that if you are doing a perm deal or a contract deal, whatever the production is left, meaning the net billings, is 15%. That is 7.5% per side. So if you want to look at wallet share, Mark, if your firm and TSC did a deal for $20,000, 10,000 less 7.5% and 10,000 less 7.5% will add 8,250 to your bottom line, and the other firm 8,250. It operates exactly like the MLS. So for $750 to generate 8,250 or 9,250, it's a pretty good alignment.
And now you're mentioning a perm example. What about temp? Does it do temp staffing as well?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really interesting, because when we had our advisory board look at it, is that, Mark, if you wrote up 40 jobs for temps and you need some extra bench strength, we're going to have to help you fund it, or you've already funded it, and your net production would be the same element of 15%. Again, 7.5 on each side. So the applicants represent the buyer, or the candidates represent the seller, or vice versa. It's exactly the same principle of the MLS, less the cost of burden for all those on the call that are temp folks. I understand the burden costs, and we know the WSIB. But just remember that $15 billion you spoke of earlier is what we're trying to get a bigger market share of for our members. That is the most important element. If you're $1 million firm and you want to add 100 contractors, then you're going to see an extra increase in revenue by sharing with another member.
Makes sense, yeah. And I know you just started. You're announcing it today, which is great. But you've been thinking about this for a while.
Oh yeah. This has been a sort of as you know, Mark, I've been in this industry for 3 decades. And even when I started day one in the 80s, I said, how can you have an industry with no standardization and no place to collaborate? But there was no technology then. But here we are now, many years later, and Uber exists and Airbnb and all these wonderful platforms. But collaboration is one thing to talk about. But when we tested this over the past year and it started working, we're like, wow, we're really onto something. The best part for everyone to know is it's finally a place for CEOs to come together. And I'm sure it'll continue when we're in person. But testing it over this past year and seeing it work was just outstanding.
Excellent. So I'm going to take a question here from the audience, but we're going to talk about a few different things because I know, Richard, your background is in recruiting, as you said, for 3 decades. But somebody's got a question here, Adam, who said, I've often heard people talk about headhunting, but find nobody actually knows what it means or how it's different from a recruitment role. Can you explain what it means to be a headhunter and how this is different from a recruiter? So what's your take on it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, thank you, Adam. And let's bring back the headhunters. Come on. This is not about Indeed and job boards, okay? Headhunting is reaching a passive candidate when they're not looking at a job board. They want access to the hidden job market, and it's called using this, as we know, Adam, the phone, and actually calling somebody who might be looking for a better opportunity. Thank you. Headhunting, it's gone awry because everyone's looking for shortcuts. But the biggest billers, as Mark, we were in this session last month, or I think a month or two ago, about being a big biller. Big billers don't happen for recruiters; it happens for headhunters. So great observation, Mark. Headhunting is all about reaching out to people that are not looking at Indeed and enticing them with a better opportunity.
It sounds so barbaric, doesn't it? Headhunter.
It does. Well, Mark, the term headhunter. What people may not know is that back in the days of the kings and queens, they went and said, we need more heads to work the land. So that's where the term headhunter came from. It actually didn't come from someplace in another part of the world and it was barbaric. It was actually the kings that would say, go get some heads to work the land. And that's where headhunters came from, the term.
There you go. And if you watch the show Ballers on Netflix, they talk about skulls, I think, right? Or yeah. Is that show or Succession or something? Anyways, it's kind of funny. Yeah. What about purple squirrel? There's lots of great terminology, right?
Love it. You're bringing back, it's close to my heart. Listen, people say, it's so hard to find somebody. It's so hard to find someone. Companies are paying us $15 billion a year. If it was easy to find, they find them themselves. And a purple squirrel is going to add intrinsic value to a company. And it's interesting to divert back to the MCLS. Everyone has purple squirrels, except they don't know where to put them sometimes. And you need to kind of find that mesh. So excellent term, purple squirrel. Love it.
Sure. So coming back to the staffing industry side, we'll come back to MCLS as well. But what do you think? What's the biggest challenge right now? Do you find staffing firm owners are having? And feel free, if you're watching, you want to share your issues that you're having as well, make sure to put them in the stage chat or in the event chat. But what's your take, Richard?
Well, I think, first of all, everyone on this presentation and the commitment to the industry for the people showing up, I think the challenge from what I observed is that trying to show companies how to do it right. You got 3,000 firms out there that are unlicensed. You got people that unfortunately aren't being moderated, if you like, on their procedures and how the process works. So you're up against the professionalism, the lack thereof. And so you've got to raise the bar to show companies that we are a value proposition and that recruitment, in fact, is an excellent industry to be part of, and raising that bar. That's one challenge. The skills shortage, that's never going to go away. And just for everyone to know, across Canada, we're going to have a shortage of 1.2 million people over the next 8 years due to retirements. Okay, so get ready to start building relationships. Don't look at a quick placement as making a fee. Look at an opportunity to build relationships with both candidates and clients for the long term. If you have Coca-Cola as a client, they're not going to stop making pop anytime soon, or Pampers diapers at Procter & Gamble. You got to dig deep. Every other industry, I don't know about you guys, but if you have an insurance agent, or you have a real estate agent, or you have a stockbroker, those are lifetime relationships. Why don't we have long-term relationships with this industry? That's, I think, the objective that most owners should have for this industry.
Yeah, really good point. So coming back to MCLS, and by the way, the poll so far that we're getting is time management is the #1 issue for staffing firm owners, and
wow.
number 2, client issues is number 2. So still with time to vote in the poll as well. But let's get back to MCLS a little bit more. And so you talked, so it's perm, it can be temp. You talked about sharing the revenues and I guess the term wallet share as well. I guess that's the term that you're using.
Yep, absolutely. You know, it's interesting. You just brought up the word time. You know, how many times for the owners that are watching today, you have 10 purple squirrels and no job orders to put them in, or you have 10 job orders and you can't fill them. So the objective of the MCLS is it fills the gap by removing the timing element. So, you know, you're going to have a look in your own database, you're going to check with your team. But if in a matter of 5 days, you can't seem to get coverage, you need to find a reputable partner to help you fill those jobs. And in every firm, you got great business developers, great recruiters. But what happens when you put all of them together with the same vision? Then all of a sudden, you have the ability to remove timing, right? And all the owners, I know how it goes. You're thinking all day long, all night long. I just picked up 30 job orders for system programmers for ABC, and yet I don't have coverage on it. Well, get some coverage, and then find a partner to help you. And that's where we fit the gap for that.
For sure, yeah. Jonathan has a comment and question here as well. Hi, Richard, great presentation. Does MCLS create new opportunities, and is it lucrative for a firm that focuses on perm placement? So maybe you touched on that a little bit earlier. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit. Maybe you can kind of give some numbers. I know you talked about what would be, you know, I know it's just new, so you're still going to get some data and all that, but you know, maybe walk through. Is it can someone, what's your vision? Can someone make 10,000, 20, 50, 100,000? Obviously there's no cap from the sounds of it, but maybe any feedback that you can give for Jonathan's question and
sure. You know, absolutely. Thank you for the question, first of all, Jonathan. I think everyone should understand that at the end of the day, it's all about your net billings, whether it's temp, perm, or contract. What we need to see is how do we find the opportunity while you're working in perm for, let's say, engineers, to say to your customer, I can now offer you contract funding in conjunction with finding candidates in conjunction to IT, because one of our members happens to be an IT specialist, and now all of a sudden you've got greater revenue reach. And that market share, as we touch on, we use our term wallet share, means that the company that you're billing $200,000 a year with should increase by at least 20% if you've got extra reach. So, you know, I don't want to quote hard numbers, but I'll just tell you, if you're a recruiter that's placing engineers at a $20,000 perm fee, and you make just one more placement, that's an extra $10,000 less $750 to add that revenue. So I think I come back to it is everyone wants to fight and try to create some market share. Let me give you an important stat here. The top 20 firms in Canada control half of the $15 billion, half. Those other 2,892 companies are all fighting for this little bit of money every year. So to answer your question, Mark, is what happens if I have 20 jobs that I can fill and your people at your team can fill? Then the odds are that I should make one more perm placement, maybe 10 more temps. And do they have net value to each of those? Absolutely. It might be a lower margin if the pay rate's less. And I'm a perm specialist. I've learned a lot from your industry in relation to temp. But the temp market share is being dominated by Randstad and Deco. Time to compete. And to do that, we require, no offense to Randstad and Deco, we respect them by all means, but there's a lot of small firms that can't compete. And we need to have a stronger foundation to give us a little more strength out there.
Great opportunity for staffing firm owners, especially the smaller ones, to band together on this platform. Now, plans for growth across Canada, into the U.S., worldwide. What are your thoughts as to where?
No geography, absolutely. And I want to make it very clear. You know, we've got a wonderful country here in Canada. And, you know, to your earlier question from Jonathan, you know, what if you do have a client in Mississauga who has a division in Vancouver? One of our members has an office in Vancouver. Now you've got national reach. You know, borders shouldn't be in the world of recruitment. There's no limitations. If I pick up 10, front-end developers in Saskatchewan with the lowest unemployment rate, I can now share that with one of our members in Montreal through the MCLS. No different than buying a house. You know, we hope that comes to a mindset that, you know, we don't have to be restricted by going to put our ads on Indeed and hope to find people by creating a big spend when we actually have within our own databases the ability to share. And that's important. You know, your 20,000 resumes in your firm's database are only as good as how many people are looking at it. But if we can all share, we don't access your data, but we're saying in turn that you now have the opportunity to share that data with other entities out there.
Fantastic. Great. You have such great insight, Richard. It's great to always hear your perspective and where things are going. So in saying that, what do you think is going to happen post-COVID? What's your take on
Yeah, listen, you guys, everyone on this call, I'll tell you right now, you know, I've been in this, I don't even acknowledge it in the sense of it taking our mindset away. I believe you're going to see the biggest bounce. The Great Reset is going to be the biggest bounce you've seen, at least in my 3 decades, that has never existed in the business books. And just for everyone to know, I'm getting reports from the New York Times, and I follow the US quite a bit, that we're seeing industries bounce by 30 to 45%. The wedding industry, as an example, went up 45% since COVID for Florida and Texas. So us Canadians up here, get ready for the ride. And, you know, I have to point out that it's coincidental that we launch a platform at a time when the bounce is coming. And I will tell you, I don't know about all of you, for those who like beer or hockey, I can't wait to hopefully get to a patio and watch a hockey game with a cold beer. So to answer your question, Mark, get ready. You know, there's 500,000 placements being made every year in Canada. I think you mentioned earlier, how many temps out there? 4 million, or the number you said earlier in the presentation?
Yeah.
So, so I think, you know what, let's put it out there. Let's get 10% of that market share and bring everyone together and have a wonderful get together to talk about how we all came together post this situation to get even greater numbers than we've ever seen. And for the down of 12%, our industry is going up 12. I predict double that. I predict Canada will double that because of the retirement levels that are coming up very fast.
Well, Dave is agreeing with you. It says the bounce is happening. Be prepared for more hiring.
There you go. And you know, we're seeing it. Look at the counts on jobs. Look at the fact that we're skill shortages in every area, low tech, high tech, sales, marketing, incredible things that are going on. And you just have to Google it to see it. And you'll see all the ads out there. But we're headhunters. Remember, our friend said earlier, you know, we want to see people talking to people that are on the job boards and find another way to collaborate. And hopefully this will help a lot of you on this presentation.
For sure. So what else, what have I not asked you about mcls.ca that you want to mention? Any other features for staffing firm owners that they should know about?
I think what's important is trust. I think that's something that's been lacking in our industry for too long. You know, in the back in the 90s, for those that may be a little younger, you were required to go to the down to University Avenue, and we were licensed under the Employment Agencies Act. The recruitment industry is unlicensed, which is rather ridiculous when you think about a multi-billion-dollar industry with no license. So what I want to point out is that it was important that all those here today, that we stand together for the interest of high level of trust and integrity. One individual that just joined our MCLS as a member used the term trust transfer. We're trusting each other to transfer information. And if you can get the element and essence of trust transferring, my goodness, you've created a whole new mindset on how this industry, not my app or your app, and you took my client and someone left my firm and they took my data and they took all day long. I don't see that in other industries. Why? Because there's no foundation, there's no structure, there's no real platform, there's no one out there as an association to say, you shouldn't do that and you shouldn't take that and you should. So here we're very particular about granting membership to those who want to create a highly trustful environment with a great amount of integrity.
Fantastic. What have you learned about yourself in the last year with COVID?
I think, you know, it's a great question. Resilience. It is. I use the analogy. I was at an event where someone asked me to speak about it, and I thought to myself, the best analogy I can say is, I got on a cruise ship and we hit a big storm. And as the captain, I had to make sure all the passengers were taken care of. And I can now see that sunlight, and I can see the waves easing down a little bit. And what I learned is that we have great resilience as leaders. And when that happens, you either step. You know, I chose to stay on the ship. There was a cruise ship where that captain left a little early, and you know, you'll enjoy the hard work and the fruits of your labor. You know, and I want to add one more thing. I wanted to thank Payroll Funding. You know, they sponsor your events. They sponsored this session. And Hunter Reed's been a phenomenal individual who recognized what we've been doing as all our organizations. He funds a number of companies and has really, what I've learned to that point is building great friendships and business relationships over the past year, because you get to see people in a different light when there's stress. And so great for me to learn about new people and who's really pushing forward. And it's an exciting time, I think. We're going to go into a whole new post world. I don't want to even use the word. I just want to say it's a new world. I've got my vaccine, 72% of the population has. And, before you know it, this event will be a memory. Remember that time, Mark, you and I had to go on video? And now, in a matter of, who knows, maybe next month or 2 months, maybe there'll be an event where we can all go golfing or get together. Whether it's a wine and cheese or having a cold beer, it's all good, or just going out and having a sandwich. Either way, I think that what's important to understand is there's always light after the darkness of what some people have gone through. And I do not take away from the sadness of it, because there's been a lot of lives that have been lost. But we also have to look at the positives that will move forward on it. So we're very excited to see what's going to be happening in this industry. And after 3 decades, I hope that we can have created something that everyone can embrace and benefit from over the next many, many, many years.
Yeah. Great, all great points. And I'm glad you mentioned about payroll funding. I mentioned it in my introductory comments, but payroll funding supports recruitment agencies of all sizes to access funds and payroll services quickly to grow their businesses. Great opportunity. Reach out to Hunter Reed. He's similar to you and I, Richard. Like, we're pro industry, and we want to support people and get it going and more. So Hunter Reed's definitely that guy to reach out to. So I want to thank Payroll Funding and Hunter as well. And also, just to your point, like you said, obviously there's been lives that have been lost. But as I think back, the 26 years that I've been in the recruiting industry, I think of 4 hits to the industry where it was like, is this the end? And it always, the other 3 times it always came back, and it looks like this 4th time. But the first time for me was 2001 with the .com bubble, and then 2008, 2009 when we had the financial credit crisis. And I guess maybe, as I think back, maybe there's only 2, because there was a credit crisis in 2008, 2009, and then now with COVID. But, we always bounce back stronger than before, stronger than we were before. So, presumably this time will also be that. And I'm looking forward to that bump that you were talking about. So
yeah, it's happening. And let's not forget, why are we owners? Because we love this industry, and you couldn't be in a better industry where we get to change people's lives, impact their careers, impact their opportunities. And we, as you point out, we're 14% of the economy when it comes to temps, and people need us. And so I think it's a great opportunity now to raise the bar. And, if I were to put something up there to say, the tagline, by the way, for the MCLS is together, everybody wins. And, in life and in business, together, everybody wins.
Excellent. Richard Fernandes, founder and CEO of the Staffing Exchange and founding member of MCLS.ca. Check out the website. I think there's a phone number as well, 1-844-955-6257, or reach out to Richard. So 1-844-955-6257. And in the words of Richard Fernandes, there's always light after the darkness. Deep and true. So thanks very much, Richard. And coming up, if you can't wait to get more, we've got sessions starting right now. Zach Dutton, president of Career Connections Canada, challenges that COVID has brought on and moving forward in the new normal. And Maham Khalid, placement specialist, the Career Foundation, interviews in the virtual world, integrating all your resources, LinkedIn, resume, and interview for the best results. So check it out. And then I will be back in about half an hour with the panel here on the main stage. I'll introduce the panel at that time. Great guests, great opportunity. Don't forget, we've got the polls going on, one-click polls. There's the networking area and the expo as well. So again, thanks, Richard. And to all of you, thanks for being here at the Canadian Virtual Staffing Firm Owners Conference. And I will be back in half an hour. Hopefully I can connect with 1 or 2 of you in the networking area over the next half hour or so. Thanks again, Richard. Take care.
Thanks,
all the best.
Take care.
Thanks.